Greetings everybody, this is Sabin Dimitrov, aka Dinsfo the Astrowolf, and it is a pleasure to have you guys here for my fun little video. I'm gonna do something stupid, and I'm gonna do a fun little quiz, and kinda give you guys the reasoning behind my choices. And I don't know, it's just a fun little idea that popped in my head and figured I'd do this. Now, I'm gonna go based off of my Grinion character. It's based off of Little Laughters by Akashi. I forget exactly which person made Little Laughters, but pretty much I made a character that's kind of based off of Little Laughters, and it's a Grinion human hybrid, and then he turns into a full Grinion, but he's still kind of a good guy, even though he suffers like severe anger issues. So I'll kind of just give you guys the reasoning behind my choices. I'll see how the video does, and if you guys like it, I can try some of my different characters. I have a total of 6 of them, so you know, I'm sure we can make something work out. So this is, are you more Thor or Loki? It's not only Thor and Loki's personalities that are different, but also their preferences. What is your favorite color? Ooh, I really like blue. I don't know, blue has always been a thing for me. Blue fire, blue this, blue that. Blue's always everything. If Thor and Loki weren't gods, their lives would be very different. Which job would you most like? Lawyer? Well, my father's a lawyer, but nah, I'm not patient with people. I've worked in customer service, so all my characters have worked in customer service, and some of them are better at it than others, but you know, they're all supposed to kind of have the same origin story, but then different outcomes of different stuff. So, in all honesty, I would personally love to be a scientist. I love technology and learning, so I'd pick that. Thor and Loki ask what school was like on Earth. What cliche do you tell them that you belong to? Well, all my stuff happens after school, and usually around when I'm 20, about the time I'm 25, which I'm currently, so either 25 to 27, so, in all honesty, I'd say I'm a gamer. That's probably my best bet. But I was also very athletic, but I wasn't a jock. As far as I remember, jocks are kind of buttholes, but, you know, that's just, you know, what I remember. Thor and Loki both eventually find love, of sorts, but feel very differently about it. How do you feel about love? Oh, gosh. I pretend I don't want it, but secretly I want it more than anything. Not really. Love is great, but it also brings great heartache. Love means vulnerable, which isn't something I do well. It's great, but not something overly special. I like to fall in love, but it isn't a necessity. I'd say vulnerable. Thor understands his option of himself is most important. Well, sorry, I meant to, you know, kind of give you guys understanding. But so pretty much my Grinion character, he has severe anger issues, especially in his human form, because Grinion and human does not combine well. So my character pretty much has kind of like 2 people in one, and it's kind of a nasty experience because he's fighting against, you know, multiple different things. Even though it's still his body and his mind, he still has to fight against a lot of the stuff that's going on. He's really, really good friends with the Grinster, which is like the most powerful Grinion to exist, and even Worry himself fears him. So, my character doesn't really care about love. He cares about, more in a sense, kind of like a friendship love, almost like, instead of family, it's like something even closer. It's like almost like brotherhood, like almost even like a soul bond. And, so he doesn't really care about love, but he still likes to show kindness toward other people despite his crippling anger and issues that he has to deal with. But overall, he does a very good job. So that's why he says love often makes vulnerability, because it can affect one's person's mindset without thinking logically about the situation. So Thor understands his opinion of himself is more important, but Loki has problems realizing this. Which of these words describes you? I am ambitious, but I'm also very, very loyal. I'm not exactly the smartest, the sharpest tool in the box, but I'm at least reliable. I'm very, very strong. God's given me a very strong body. Also quite misunderstood. Oh, gee Whittakers. I'd say smart. Because that's kind of a mixture of a couple of these, so I want to say smart. If the fate of Asgard rested on your shoulders, would you sacrifice yourself for the greater good? Well, because my characters do not believe in other gods, only one god, my character wouldn't really care about Asgard, but to have them as friends, sure. Um, but my Gradian character hates anything that has to do with other gods, only, and if there was ever someone who tried to call themselves a god, he'd go ballistic and want to, put them in their place. But like, if a place needed help and they called my character for help, and my character saw the motives as acceptable, I'd say, yes, but it would be entirely unexpected because he would kind of make them have to come to his terms. And that's kind of how my character does things. He usually likes to compromise because he wants things to kind of work out for him, but he likes to help out and usually tries to help out without expecting anything in return. But when it comes to something like Asgard, he would kind of expect something in return because that's a monumental task and he's helping people who aren't exactly inherently good. If you had to go to war for Asgard along Thor and Loki, what would you prefer battle tactic be? Well, considering it's a Greenland character, my character likes to just beat the ever-loving hell out of everything. So he'd probably do A, which is attack them head on. But Greenlands are also experts at manipulation as well as tricking and messing with the enemy psychologically. And since my character is based around the Grinster, he would do really good at B because the Grinster fights most of his battles psychologically, but he has like unimaginable power and strength, both physically and power wise. So my character also likes to build like a giant army, and that's what he has for his like Grinion battleship. He has a battleship made out of living supernatural technology. So it's both biological and technological, and it's supernatural. So he has like a limitless power inside of his battleship. Like he can't create universes, like he isn't quote turned into a god. He just has unlimited power based off the sense of his battleship. So he can fire as many weapons as he wants. He can do anything in that small area and amount of power that he has. It's like a he doesn't have the power of creation, but he can able to do like a lot, like manipulate things around him and such. Like that's kind of how things work. It's not godlike. It's just power and being able to do a lot. So, in all honesty, if I had to pick, I like B the best, just because. Remember, my character is doing everything he can to be the best he can be, despite having severe issues with the with his body and the Grinion integration. Remember, humans and Grinions are not supposed to morph, and it's literally a miracle that he even survived the first stages. And unfortunately, parts of his body started to shut down later on in his friendship with the Grinions, and later on that led to him having to have his body completely reconstructed, thereby leading to another miracle because the Great Creator wasn't done with him yet. And now, as a Grinion now, but full Grinion, but new purpose, he can do so much and help a lot of people in behind the scenes, and that's what he does. He does a really good job. He's very benevolent, despite having psychopathy at times. Thor and Loki have very different personalities. Where would your friends use to describe you? Well, I was just kind of talking about that, but in real life and kind of also just in the storyline, um, charismatic, because charismatic can be funny and charming, and also partially ambitious. So I like charismatic because this kind of covers a whole realm of areas, and well, at my job, a lot of people enjoy seeing me, and they always look forward to seeing me at work, and sometimes they'll look for me in particular so I can talk to them or help them out. Because they know I'll help them and get the job done. I'm quite effective, and I like to, have that, part in people's lives. So I definitely pick charismatic because it covers a whole realm of different things. Now, if you went to high school with Thor and Loki, what would be your favorite subject? Ooh, I always loved science. I hate English. English was like the most annoying thing ever. I think I would like it better now that I'm actually writing my book. But yeah, English was extremely annoying. I actually liked health. Health was actually kind of fun. Science was kind of my favorite because I get to learn so much. And if I could go back to school now, but with all that I know now, science would probably be my favorite. History is kind of cool though as well because I love learning about history, and because if you don't learn about history, you're doomed to repeat it. And there was a scene in what do you call it? A freaking Adventure Time where the Vampire King and um Vampire King and the girl vampire. It's been a while since I watched it, so I don't remember all the names. Marceline, there we go. Marceline and the vampire dude. They were fighting, and he was asking her questions about history, and she says the reason why people are always doomed to repeat history is because they never live long enough to see it repeat, and that is kind of the truth. If humanity had 400-year-long lifespans, we would be a lot better in being able to learn about a history. Unfortunately, the world has gone to hell right now, and not really sure if we're going to come out of this in one piece. Especially with all the weirdos running around trying to say that bad is good and good is bad. So I'm not exactly sure how well this is going to go. But I guess overall, I really like science, but I also really like history. So I guess I'd just say science overall. Less BS to deal with, if you get what I mean. Because, science is meant to be questioned, but it is also meant to be accepted. Because just because you can try to do something doesn't mean that it works. Because if stuff reverts back to the way it is, without needing constant, influence to keep the way that you want it, then you are pretty much making something that should not be there. Now, there's other times where you can do stuff like that, and it could be there, but doing stuff sometimes that nature itself tries to revert back to its original state usually is sketchy territory, and you want to kind of ask yourself, is this really the right thing to do? Now, which Marvel Avenger, excluding Thor and Loki, do you think you're most like? Ooh, I like the Hulk. But I also like Iron Man. Because Iron Man is a mixture of power, a mixture of just a normal human being, and a mixture of just being able to be really smart, get stuff done, very smart with science and technology. But I also love the Hulk. And that's what I kind of based off, the Grinster. Kind of like this Hulk-like creature. And like my character kind of based around the Grinster, who's just unimaginable power. So I think I have to pick Iron Man over everything if we have to go by like my Grinion character, just because he loves technology and that's what he usually uses. But since we're not going full Grinion, we're going to talk about the humans, so we would do Iron Man. Thor and Loki have different attention spans. Would you say you get bored easily? Oh my gosh. Especially with the stuff that happens after like the first phases of transformation, not transformation, but integration that eventually turns into malignant transformation, unintentionally actually. uh, yeah, we get bored very easily. So I'm bored this very minute in all honesty. So yeah, Thor is more brawn, Loki is more brains, and you are, ooh, mostly brawn. Actually, I don't know. What is brawn? All I know is I'm very strong. Mostly brains, but though. I'd say I'm brawny, but I'm physically quick. So I like F because that's kind of what my character is. He's a very nice middle ground. He's very tough. He's husky, so to speak. Loki is known as a master of deceit. How easily do you find it to deceive people? Easier than I'd like to be. At least easier than I'd like it to be. Sometimes very few people are difficult for me to deceive. Very because it's my grinning character, and they are very good at playing tricks on people. And my character is learning from the best. The Grinster is supposed to be the wisest of all the Grinions. He's supposed to be, oh gee, like after like the Great Flood, kind of old. Like he's supposed to be really really freaking old. So I'd say B if it's for my character, but usually my character doesn't like to deceive people for bad. He deceives them to kind of make a better purpose, and sometimes you have to do one bad thing to knock a good thing into motion. So sometimes my character has to do the ugly business in the background, and so far that actually hasn't been horrible, but it's still sketchy territory. Oh my gosh, I hate these ads. So how would you feel if Thor or Loki left you out of something you really want to be included in? Well, I would be very bummed out because that is kind of rude, and well, but I try my best not to let stuff get to me. But since my kind of grinning integrated character has anger issues, I'd say E. He'd be hurt, but he would kind of he's learned quickly not to be letter B. So I think I'd have to pick A actually, because depending on what the situation is, because one of the things that the Grinster like to do if Sibin ever had like a bad issue is that he'd always try to make things better. He didn't care about any other human except Sibin. And that's kind of the really weird part about this kind of alternate storyline. This is not the main storyline of Little Laughters. Little Laughters themselves is its own main storyline, but then how you make alternate universes, AUs like Undertale. This is kind of like a alternate reality. And pretty much the Grinster doesn't like anyone else, and he has a soft spot for Heckle and a very, very soft spot for Sabin, because they both crave wisdom, and in turn that formed a very special and strong bond between the two. So he tries to, make things right for Sabin, and, in turn that forms a really strong friendship between the two. So that's why I'd say I'm not sure, depending on how that is executed, because sometimes he can't, but he gives us Sabin comfort, and, yeah. So as a god of mischief, Loki is well known for being a trickster. Would you call yourself a trickster or a prankster? Ooh. Ooh, gee whittakers. Oh, stop it. Okay. A silly prank once in a while doesn't hurt. And that's kind of the thing my character likes to do, is that he likes to joke around with people, but he wants it to be meaningful. He doesn't just make half-butt pranks and just do what is stuff. No, he likes to make the pranks be funny and meaningful while still kind of being lighthearted. He usually doesn't go out of his way to really get at someone. If you weren't hanging out with Thor and Loki, what Guardian of the Galaxy member would you hang out with? My character is able to understand people through a special kind of universal universal language interface. His main language is Sabin's main languages is Bulgarian, Japanese, and German. But he has a universal interface that's supernatural that Worry actually give him, and that allows him to be able to speak any language that he so wishes. But it's kind of like a pick and choose. Pretty much, you know how like disk drives, like multi disk drives, pull out a disk and then insert one automatically depending on which one you pick? Like a jukebox. My character kind of has like a jukebox, supernatural jukebox inside of his body of all the languages that have ever been, you know, in existence to what is currently right now. So he could speak Aztec, he can speak ancient Mayan, he can speak Mesopotamian, he can speak German, Bulgarian, Japanese, Chinese, Mandarin, traditional. He can speak Thai. But the main languages that my character has is he could do really well with Groot. He doesn't really care too much for girls very much, just because he finds a lot of girls to be very fake, very kind of almost pathetic. He really doesn't care for girls because they're often very what's that term, fickle, and he finds them to be very unstable and therefore untrustworthy. There's very few people he actually trusts that are girls, so I'd say he would do well with Rocket. Because Rocket and him would get along well, because Rocket is small enough to be a great companion while still big enough to wall up enemies, and he's smart, and my character can help increase the quality of life for Rocket, and in turn form a special friendship. So I think he would pick Rocket, and then maybe Groot. Which of Thor and Loki's friends do you believe you get along? Oh, gee, what occurs? Just so you guys know, I'm kind of a hermit, so I don't know all of these, and I have to like think hard about these and try to pull what I remember and what little I know. My character hates people who think they are gods, so he would probably not do well with Odin. He doesn't really care about Hela very much because he doesn't know her very well. Jane is the same thing, doesn't really know too much about her. He likes Black Widow because she knows how to fight and she's actually intelligent, and he finds that a good quality about her. I don't really know Sylvia, or Sylvie, or how you say her name. So I think he'd pick Iron Man, just in the sense that they both love technology, they both love to learn, and they both love to experiment. So they get along very well with Iron Man. So you're in Asgard having a conversation with Thor and Loki about spirit animals. My spirit animal by far is a wolf. I love wolves. They are beautiful. They are very, very strong creatures. They have a beautiful pack mentality. They have a very sophisticated family order. The alpha stays at the back of the pack to keep watch and to keep make sure that the back of the pack is protected. I've done like multiple almost professional level reports throughout my time in school, up to my senior project about wolves, so definitely the wolf. Just by far the wolf, nothing else. You're hanging out with Thor and Loki in Asgard, and they accidentally hurt your feelings. Do you show it? I'd say probably. Because my character would try to talk to them rationally. That's one of the things that the Grinster, despite actually being described as evil and wise, actually puts aside his ways of malevolence and tries to his best to actually increase the quality of life for Sabin, and therefore tries to be a actually decent mentor for Sabin. So despite having thousands of years of horrible, horrible stuff that he's done, he puts all that aside for this one person and tries to help them learn. So that's why I'd say maybe. Because my character would try to let them know that he's been hurt, and would try to kind of explain to them as nicely as possible that, hopefully they can kind of, take into account his feelings in the future, so that way we can avoid problems in the future. Um, yeah, because like I said, the Grinster is supposed to be like one of the oldest ones, oldest Grinions in existence, from like the uh, you know. But yeah, what others say about Thor and Loki is different from what they believe. Do you think you are good or evil? Well, humans are naturally evil just by their rebellious spirit, and their hearts are naturally deceitful, and therefore their thoughts and emotions betray them. So, my character has a higher calling because he, but so I'd say D. D is kind of a decent. Is kind of the best one to put because everybody tries to call themselves good, but what is good? You kind of have to read the Bible to know that one. But yeah, so that's why I picked that one because he's still human. He's still gonna have his problems, but he tries to correct his mistakes later on and slowly betters himself over time through wisdom and learning. One thing everybody knows about Loki is how many regrets he has. Do you have any regrets in life? I have a couple. Uh, I'd say E, just because of just like a chaoticness, but I mean overall stuff's getting better. So regrets are kind of help you learn, and you can help other people learn through your mistakes and regrets. So therefore, your regrets, even though painful, can be used as a tool to help cultivate other people's paths for the better. And sometimes you're not supposed to change that person's life. Sometimes just one small act of goodness will be able to set forth a string of good events. And then, therefore, in the end, that person can have a much better life because of that one good spark that lit the fire. Thor and Loki had very different relationships with their parents. How is your relationship with their parents? I love my parents dearly. In all six stories of mine, my character has like the deepest love for his parents. So I am really close to both of them. My relationship, so yeah, I'm very close to both of them. Like my characters love his parents, like dearly. Thor values socialization while Loki prefers time alone. Would you say you're more extroverted or introverted? I'm an ambivert. I like at times that I want to be friendly and out there. I'm like the life of the party and kind of like look at me. I can have a great time, make people laugh and have a good old time. And but then I'd say it depends on my mood because this time if I want to be alone, I will not answer my phone. I will only answer by text, and I'll watch movies for hours and hours and hours. Which television show would you like to watch with Thor and Loki, if given the opportunity? Ooh, the Golden Girls is funny just because it's kind of like old humor and it's silly and quirky. South Park is dog crap, and I'm just never gonna watch it. Orange is the New Black is skeptical and kind of meh, and I don't care about that. The Walking Dead I've heard is actually pretty good. Game of Thrones I've heard started out good but bombed toward the end. Family Guy is just dog crap. Like Family Guy is as if a dog ate his own crap and then barfed it out and then ate that again and then diarrheaed it out, and then the owner has to pull the dog away and then throw that dog poopy diarrhea butt juice stuff in the dumpster and pray that his dog doesn't die of septic shock. Like that's how much I hate Family Guy. There are some good parts about Family Guy, and like there's some areas that I've actually find kind of humorous, but overall the show's garbage. So I'd have to pick the Golden Girls just because it's humorous and silly, and I like dumb stuff. Do you think you are more like Thor or Loki? Um, I'd say E. I'm not really sure myself. There are different ways to get. How many freaking questions are on these tests? Like, is there like a counter? I just want to know how many questions there are. How long is... Oh my gosh, we're already at 30 minutes. Oh boy. If this goes past 50, guys, we're just going to have to do a part 2, because this is bonkers. There are different ways to get under Thor and Loki's skin. Which of the following would upset you most? Ooh. E. Hurting those I love. My character is very retribution oriented. If you ever, and since he's a Grinning character, he has immense power. And since Worry has given him the power of teleportation, as well as other terrifying tools, and since my character will be almost bonded by soul to the Grinster, he has a lot of like the Grinster's savviness and, cleverness of finding ways to torture the people that hurt his people. So my character would definitely do E, because he would not only make sure that they regret ever existing, but he would make sure that they rule the day they ever crossed those he loved and cared about. Like, that person would literally have to have God himself step in and take them away from the Granian character, because that's how angry my character would get. Like, my character evolves both good and bad, but at times, at times he's like the kindest and sweetest person, and he can give you wisdom that's, that can change your life. But if you make him angry to the point where he gets, violent, you better start praying, because that's the only thing that can possibly save you at that point. And often there's times where the Grinster has to teleport in, grab Sabin, and teleport away to keep, Sabin from just going ape crap and destroying everything around him. And, even though my character has a lot of trouble, overall he does improve as a person in the grand scheme of things. But it's a very bumpy ride. But overall it goes smoother because of the hard work of Grinster trying to actually help him do better. So Thor and Loki want very different things in life. What do you want most? D and F are kind of the nice ones, but my character realizes quite early on into the integration that F ain't gonna work out. So he likes to do D or C, and I think C is kind of covers a lot of these. So he finds his place in the world, and does the will of the great creator, and tries his best. He fails at times, but there's other times where he does really good work, and in the end, it works. Most people would say Thor is good and Loki is evil. What do you say you are? My character would be mostly good. Remember, he does have retribution and revenge as kind of like a hard-coded, nasty virus inside of him, but he does slowly learn how to control those and find ways to help more legally get things righted. Pulling strings, doing things more legally and kind of getting back, but not in the way of brutality, but more in a sense of find ways to either blackmail them, find ways to find legal ways to actually get them into a bind, and hopefully make them realize what they did was wrong, and hopefully they will be willing to take steps to rectify their transgressions. Thor and Loki both have superpower. a bit very different ones. What superpower would you most likely have? Well, because it's a Grinion character, he wouldn't be able to change or direct the weather. He has powers of like red lightning, so he's able to like vaporize enemies, but that's about it. Like he can't like do weather and stuff like that. Shape-shifting is kind of semi because he can sprout an extra set of arms since Wari has an extra set of legs since he's like a six-legged wolf. So technically he has an extra set of arms that can sprout out of his back and form onto his body like an extra set of arms. So and then they can go away for him to remain his human-like appearance despite having multiple integrations inside of his body. So, and he's also super freaking strong. Like Grinions are really freaking strong. Like you run into one, and next thing you know, you're flying through the air. He doesn't have mind control. He has like a couple. He has a solid chunk of most of these. So, I'd have to say, super strength. Super strength is kind of the key item here. So yeah. Everybody loves Thor, and most people fear Loki. Is fear or love better for making people follow you? I like respect. You know, there's an old saying: "Speak softly, but carry a big stick." And I forgot if it was a U.S. president that said that, or if it was a general that said that. But yeah, mostly love, but a little fear doesn't, hurt. And that's kind of what my character does. Like, he tries his best to speak softly and explain things to people, but if you get him to the point where that doesn't work, he'll wallop you. So here we are. I'm mostly Loki. You're primarily like Loki, but with some characteristics of Thor. You're a mischievous, misunderstood person who is just looking for their place in the world. However, you may be able to hide this side of you, and as such, appear more charismatic. Your jokes may get out of hand sometimes, but you can refine your sense of humor when necessary. So, we finally got through all the questions after 37 minutes and 32 seconds. But yeah, my character, my Grinion character is similar to Loki because of this. But as you guys can see, this is actually kind of a well-made quiz. I actually enjoyed this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this too. And like I said, I like to use my characters as reasoning behind the choices I make, because if you just do choices off of your more like physical real life self who's behind the screen, it gets kind of boring. So if you have a character or a role play character that you have, or a character that you are writing a book about, and you do the one based off of that, you can really kind of get a sense of what kind of character they are. So yeah, my Grinion character is a lot like Loki. And that's kind of how a lot of Grinions are. They're very much like Loki. So I think that's kind of cool. And yeah, so I think this is actually kind of a fun little video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So just, let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Give me your feedback, and if we get enough support for this video, I might do other tests and quizzes, and you guys can follow along to see how my brain functions. You see, a lot of people, when they make their content, you don't really see a lot of the true personality behind their screen. But when you get to watch someone do a test like this, and kind of you hear their reasoning behind stuff, you can kind of get a sense of what kind of person they are, or kind of what kind of person their roleplay character is, and you can kind of hear what their thinking is. So overall, with the help of the Grinster and the great creator to help Sabin control his integrations and issues, overall, I'd say that this is kind of fairly accurate. And yeah, despite having some severe setbacks, overall he's doing a fantastic job considering the the load he's carrying. So yeah, I think this was a fun video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been Sabin Dimitrov, aka Dins for the Astrowolf. This has been kind of a fun little testing things out video, and you know, if this video gets enough traction, maybe I might do another one. Maybe not. Just tell me what you guys think. You guys stay awesome, and always remember, God bless.